Greetings and salutations, YouTubers. This is ZillaFan85. I'm back today with my latest video, my latest figure review. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my MonsterArts 1954 Godzilla figure. So this is one I was definitely looking forward to doing. I love the 54 Godzilla. It's actually one of my favorite Godzilla designs of all time. It's in the top three for me personally. I just find it, I mean, it's the original, it's the OG, and plus I just find it such an iconic design. So many images of Godzilla that you'll find out there will show this particular version, the original version, of course, shots and stills from the original film. So, like I said, just very iconic, and this was the Godzilla that started it all. So, like I said, so I was definitely very happy to add the MonsterArts version of this figure. I do have the NECA version as well, which I previously reviewed on the channel. Personally, I know they say the NECA one because it has more folds and this and that looks more suit accurate, while this one looks more like if Godzilla was actually a real creature. I personally like the MonsterArts version better. It's just such an awesome figure in my opinion, anyways. The one thing to note, obviously, in the with MonsterArts, it's hit and miss if you get any accessories, and especially lately, a lot of them haven't been having any. Unfortunately, this figure does not come with anything, so just kind of note that right off the bat. But nonetheless, though, still, like I said, in my opinion, an awesome figure. I'm very happy to have it. And let's go ahead and jump into the figure review itself. So we're going to start with the paint and the detail here. Now, it's got the signature charcoalish color for Godzilla, but the way that they did it here was to give it more of like that black and white feel, if that kind of makes sense. So just the way that you see the color scheme, the way that the charcoal color is very dulled out to give it almost like I said, like a black and white feel to it. Really, really awesome though. I really like it. And it's just filled to the brim with detail here. All the scales, all the texturing here along the scales. You can see all over the body. Just really, really nicely done. A lot of, and even if they say the NECA one had more, this still has a lot of folds and wrinkles on it. And just gives it like that sort of almost realistic look to it, like if he was an actual creature. So very, very cool there. Taking a look at the face here again, all the rivets on the top of the head, and again the scales on the face, and of course you got the nice prominent ears on each side there, if you guys can see that. Very, very cool. The eyes done like black and white eyes, and yeah, some people say it's a little derpy or dopey because they're kind of looking in different directions, but that is actually film accurate. That's how this Godzilla looked. But to me though, I always found it kind of intimidating. Seeing here if the camera picks it up, but, doing the best I can, the lighting and whatnot, but you guys can kind of see it there. So very, very cool. Teeth done in this sort of grayish color, as you guys can see there. Again, sort of add into that black and white feel. Even the tongue is like a sort of like deep gray, if you will, there. So it's not red on the inside of the mouth. It's like a deep dulled out gray almost. So very, very interesting though, but very, very cool. Like I said, just to add to the black and white feel. And then the dorsal spines as well, done in this sort of smoky gray color. The outsides of the dorsal spines in the smoky gray, and then of course you got more of the charcoalish color in the center area, but a lot of texturing, a lot of detail work. These are pretty sharp to the touch. And it's pretty hard plastic, so you definitely want to be careful with this, not to bang it around or drop it or anything, because you could have issues, which is pretty much the case for any of these MonsterArts Godzilla figures. But Very, very awesome nonetheless. I really love the way that the dorsal spines came out. That, to me, was very film accurate there. And you got that smoky color, especially along the larger spikes, and it kind of just tapers off a bit as it gets down into the dorsal spines, I should say, along the tail. So you can see the smoky gray dorsal spines in the larger part, and then it's just more like the charcoalish gray for the spines along the tail area. But still, though, they are all individually sculpted. They are all there. Look very, very cool. Again, more of the scales and the texture work all along the body here, and the arms and the legs and whatnot, and of course along the tail and all the segments along the tail as well, as you guys can see, the underside and the top. And then you got the fingers, which the finger claws were done in more of just the charcoalish gray color, which to me that was a bit of an odd choice. I think maybe they kind of dropped the ball a little bit by doing that, because then you've got the claws on the toes, the toe claws here, and these were done more of that bone gray, if you will, like the teeth in that bone gray. So you guys can see there. I wish that they would have done that with the finger claws, but nonetheless, though, they're still detailed very well. Still, again, very sharp to the touch and whatnot. Teeth, the feet, I should say, fairly large to kind of showcase, just everything along this Godzilla, showcasing that he's been mutated and whatnot due to the atomic bomb testing. So very, very awesome to see. Of course, on the bottom of the feet, you got more detail work, and of course, you got the Toho trademark information. Bandai China there. SH MonsterArts. And very, very excellent paint and detail work, in my opinion. I think it looks pretty awesome. So that pretty much covers it for that, I think. Now for articulation here. So again, a MonsterArts figure, so pretty much a fully articulated figure here. So we'll start at the head. So as usual, pretty much most of these joints are all ball joints. It's fairly much the usual for MonsterArts here. So the head on a ball joint, you can get it to look up like so. You can get him to look down like that. Of course, you can turn the head side to side. You could probably get it to go all the way around. You go like that. So you get a lot of range of movement out of the ball joint there, where the head meets the top of the neck. But to add to the movement, though, you got another ball joint here at the base of the neck where it joins into the shoulders. So you can get him to look a little bit further down like that. You can add him going up like that, which would definitely help, not just with looking up, but to get him in if you're going to try to do more of a swimming pose. So that definitely helps with that. And of course, that has a little bit turned side to side. And that's pretty much the range of motion that you'll get out of that. The jaw here is on another ball joint, which, like I said, with MonsterArts, they really ought to be doing these jaws on hinges. I think that just makes more sense, but whatever, for whatever reason, I should say that they like to do ball joints for these jaws for the most part. And I believe that this one's still more of the same, just kind of seeing the way that the sculpt here is separated. But the only good thing with this one, I noticed, though, it doesn't really seem to tilt too much, this jaw, which a lot of the other Godzilla and Kaiju figures do have that tendency, and it makes it look really, really awkward when the jaw starts looking out of place and whatnot. That's why, to me, just a standard hinge to open and close it just makes more sense. But this one, though, pretty much is straightforward there, so that's okay. Now you got the arms where they join into the shoulders here. Of course, ball joints there. So you can get them to raise up about that far. Of course, you can pull them down. Mine's a bit stiff. I don't tend to move it that much, so you can always heat them up to get them to move more. But you can rotate it. And you can, of course, if you wanted to go all the way around, you could. So just kind of showcasing here for you guys. So very cool. Now you got the elbows here. Again, on the ball joint right there. Almost to give like a sort of, you're not really going to get like a cut there, but you get the nice ball joint there. And I'm trying to see if there's, yep, there is actually two. So it's a double ball joint. So you get the one there where you see that separation, and then you get another one right there. Hopefully you guys can see that. So just to kind of add to the range of motions, you can swivel it, and of course kind of hinge it like that. Obviously the same thing with the other side, swivel and hinge with those two ball joints there. So pretty decent range of motion there. And then of course you got the wrists, which are both ball jointed, so to give you a little bit of swivel and hinge, more swivel anyway, so you can see you can go all the way around with that, and you get a little bit of hinge here at the wrists as well. So very cool. Now at the abdomen area here, you get two, actually, one for the upper torso and then the lower abdomen there. It's a little tough to see, but you guys see the separation there. So you get the two joints. So you get the, for here, you can do the ab crunch. You can get in about there, decent ab crunch. You can get them looking up a little bit. And of course you can turn it ever so slightly. Now the lower torso area here, kind of add to that range of motion, as you guys can see. Get more of an ab crunch, and then a little bit more range up with that secondary joint there, and a little bit more side to side, but not a whole lot there. So it's pretty stiff, but nonetheless not too bad. Now where the legs join into the hips here, again, ball joints, so you can get them out there for the splits like that. Bring them in like so. You can kick up. You would really have to force it if you wanted it to go all the way around. Otherwise, you can kick up like that. You can kick back like that. And same thing, of course, on the other side. So, fairly limited, but again, I mean, it's Godzilla, so how much range do you really want to get out of it? So you got to kind of think of it that way. But anyways, then here at the knees, again, you got two ball joints, just like with the elbows there. So you got the one there and then the one down there. So but the way that they did the sculpting, it looks pretty good, so the joints don't look too ridiculous. But you can move it in and out, and of course get a little bit of a swivel, and you do get swivel as well at the upper legs where they join into the hips. So that, but yep, you get a little bit more there. And again, you can bend in and out. The knee bend is fairly limited on this, but you can get a little bit out of it. And then you get another joint down here, another ball joint here. If I can kind of showcase where it's at the lower leg, it's above where the ankle joins the foot, so it's like right there, if you guys can see that. So you can get, again, a little bit more of a bend there and a little swivel there. And then of course you get the ball joint here at the ankle, and so you can hinge up, hinge down. You get a bit of actually fairly decent ankle rocker on both of those for the pivot, so not too bad. Again, the hinge up and down, and of course you can swivel, and if you want to, you can turn these all the way around if you so desire your Godzilla to do that. So, fairly cool there. And last but certainly not least, as is the case in all these MonsterArts figures, the tail, which has ball joints running throughout. I'm not going to go through all the different segments, but the last segment on this particular one ends right here. So this is a solid piece from this point on. This is the final ball joint, but segmented up until that point. And so where it joins into the body, it's a bit stiff, but you can get a little bit of motion out of it, a little bit of turn, and then of course you can move the other ball joints around to turn the tail back and forth, go down, and put it in fairly decent amount of different poses. I kind of like to keep it like this, so, but very, very cool nonetheless. So that pretty much covers it for the articulation on this guy. Next up, we're going to look at sizing. So okay, so you guys can see there. So it's a little bit hard when I showcase there, but you can see it stands right about 6 inches, maybe slightly under, but still fairly decent size. It will look pretty good on a shelf with your 6 to 7 inch figures. So you guys can see that. And just as a little size comparison here, I brought the NECA 1954 Godzilla just so you guys can see how these look together. Okay. So you can see the NECA one is a little bit taller than the MonsterArts one. The NECA one's probably more in the 7-inch range. But still, they look pretty cool together nonetheless. So certainly if you want to have like a 54 setup, this is a pretty good way to go. I definitely think so. So that pretty much takes care of sizing. And lastly, as far as pricing goes, well, that's the thing. And, you know, as pretty much everybody notes, the SH MonsterArts figure line, they are fairly expensive figures. They're expensive at release at the MSRP. This one, I'm trying to recall back because I'm kind of just doing this off of muscle memory right now. What I got it for, I think around $80, which I believe was the MSRP, because this was the reissue of it that they came out with a couple of years after its initial release, and I got it just after it was reissued, so I was lucky enough to get it at MSRP. Nowadays you're looking at the aftermarket, and you're probably looking at, from what I've seen, you're looking at roughly double that price, unfortunately. So I would say about at least about $150 and up, from what I've seen it going for online. So if you want to check on eBay and other places like that, and I think Amazon might still have this figure, but again, they're selling it for considerably more than when it was released. So just got to keep that in mind, that you would have to, once again, pay to play here. But if you're in the market, and you, of course, you know, if you like the SHMA line, this is certainly, in my opinion, a fantastic figure to pick up, and really to me a must-have, because I mean, again, it's the 54, it's the original Godzilla, and to me one of the best versions of this. So that pretty much wraps it up for the video though, folks. I would certainly like to thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of my videos, please feel free to do so as well. And just remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara.